night. We pulled out of the port we were in, and we headed south back down here. And
Yeah, you do some long underways on those boats, huh?
yeah, 5 days. 5 days. Yo, it was a shit. Oh God, it was a shit show. I'll just say it was a shit show, man. Like there's the whole crew was running on, I'd say, an average of like 3 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, that sucks.
4 hours maybe.
Right.
But this is, so it was rough. It was a rough one. The worst night I was on duty. We were up late, right? Because we had Liberty, and then it was Cinderella Liberty. And as a good chief, I'm looking for my sailors to come back. My sailor, part of the last group, 11:55.
Right.
Fucking
asshole.
But and we'll get into this too, because there's a lot to talk about that, right? And you could tell he had a good time. You could tell all the sailors had a good time. You could tell like the previous 48
they
hours.
They just had a long underway up about 20 miles north. So,
well, I mean, but like it was one of those, like, it was just the first 2 weeks on board, right? Like it's been like fucking balls to the walls, going. Yeah, and then now you get this Liberty port. Yes, it's just fucking up north, right? You can take a drive up there on the weekend, but what's different.
Of course, yes.
And for anyone listening, the civilian listener and stuff, it's you could road trip all around America and have a great time. We can, a sailor, you retired, any sailor out there listening, you could pull into port an hour north of you, and it's fucking on.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It could be some place that you could visit every weekend, but you're getting off the ship and you're going on Liberty. Right. And you don't have that much time because you gotta be back at midnight. And like I did, me and some of the chiefs, we just went out. We had a bite. We had a couple drinks. We came back.
Yeah.
That, like, we know, like, this ain't the place, right? But then you got those junior sailors that have been grinding, fucking getting after it, right? And they're like, oh, we're on Liberty, and 11:55, 23:55, they're strolling in.
Yeah.
And they're just all smiles. They had a few drinks, maybe plus a couple, and they just had a great time.
Yeah.
On Liberty.
Until tomorrow morning.
Or until, hour after Liberty expires and the bells are ringing.
Right.
And there's a casualty. Actual.
Yeah, but that didn't happen? Oh, it did happen.
That did.
Oh, no.
That did happen. Right? Not not major, but like casualty. And motherfuckers jumped to, and duty section had it and was responding, and I'll tell you that whole story offline, but but then the next morning, you had sailors like, yo, were they running drills last night, or was I dreaming?
No, you were drunk. It wasn't a drill.
It wasn't a drill. It was real life actual, right? And then you had sailors that had just got back. The engineers, shout out the engineers, man. Fucking down in spaces, fucking getting after it.
Yeah, killing it.
With that fucking, just they'd only been asleep an hour.
Yeah.
And their, BAC is still.
Yeah, well above what it needs to be. But
to operate machinery, but they're down there like, what do we do? Like, let's, ready to go.
Yeah.
As but they were quickly removed from the situation, right? Just because it's like, hey, like, we got, like, duty section got it, it's under control, everything's good.
Yeah, but that mentality of like, hey, it's go time, let's get after it. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
it's
the responsible person has to be like, hey, dude, I get it, I appreciate your
captain's on his way down.
Yeah, let's back up.
I don't want you down here smelling like alcohol. Yeah. Even though I don't think he's going to say anything, I just don't want it to be something to be brought up, right? So, like, thank you for a response. Get out of here now, and that's not wrong, right? Like, when there's a casualty and bells are ringing, we need people responding,
of course.
And with those engineers that know their space is the best, like, drunk or otherwise, the real ones are up and at it, and they're fucking ready to go, and And that gets into like the underway time, right? It's a beautiful thing to see that, civilians, other branches, they have their own way to do it.
Yeah.
But us, it's all the time at sea where this shit can happen.
Right. Even if you're an hour north.
Even if you're an hour north. Even if it's just, routine operations,
right.
Just out of fucking eyesight of the shoreline.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think, I don't think people understand. I know I didn't understand before I joined the Navy, right? And I got on ships and stuff, right?
Okay.
Like the level, the industrial level of danger and how the sea can really just crush you. And people are like, oh, crush you like an aluminum can. Well, it just happens that the ship I'm on is made out of aluminum. Okay. And it's real, right? That this, like, machines pumping, oils and fuels and water and like everything around you can kill you in these spaces. And like, as soon as one thing, man, like this.
Fuck, man, turning around can kill you.
Yeah.
You hit a light hanger that you're not expecting that's there and you don't duck.
I remember it was like 2000, what was it? Probably 2007, 2010, something like that. Somewhere between there, maybe. Reading an article of a sailor who died on the East Coast on a carrier because they bumped a little more than a bump, I think, but they hit their head on like a fucking pipe or something.
Yeah.
Like underway.
Yeah.
Like that's the level of shit can happen, right? That we deal with. So it was really cool to see that one sailor stepping up, standing those watches, making their rounds. It was amazing to see that roving watch. They're calling it away, and we're down there and we're getting it taken care of. And I'm like, hey, like fucking good job, right? You fucking responded how you're supposed to respond.
Right.
And then she's like fucking crying. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you need to step away? Do you need a moment? And she's like, I'm fine. So I'm taking a moment. I don't even know why I'm crying. And I'm like,
that was pride,
cool,
man. That was pride. She killed it. And then she came back to it like, oh, fuck, I just did that. I didn't even think about it.
I did something.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times when we're messing with junior sailors and stuff, it's like, they're like, I don't do shit. This is stupid. What the fuck am I here for? And then
why are we drilling again?
Why are we drilling? Just whatever it is, right? And then something actual happens, and that
instinct,
the instinct and what they've been trained kicks in,
and
it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she was like boo-hooing in the corner. Nah.
Right.
She was standing there, fucking ready for more, finding like, all right, what do I do next? And she was just like, yeah, I don't know, Chief. And I was like, hey, cool, let it go then. Like. But if you need to step away too, like
do it,
right? Because everything's safe, right? We're in a good spot where you can do that, right? Again, I just want to be clear. Like this wasn't like she was just crying while it was happening. No, she was on the fucking radio, flooding in Ox 2, like whatever it was, right? And
no hating what you're saying.
No,
I get it. I hope everybody else.
It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, but so same thing with submarines. Like I've only been through a few casualties on subs, and I mean, you can imagine what it's like being in an enclosed tube, right? And the smallest fire lights off, or
oh my god,
whatever it is, right? It takes over that space so quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about like this is how I try to relate it to people. Like think about when you're in the kitchen or in the bathroom, right? And you have the candle lit because you have people over. You want to keep the candle lit. When you go to blow out that candle, right? What do you do almost right after? You probably turn the fan on, right? Because that smoke just from that little wick on the candle, it's obnoxious.
Yeah.
Right? So think about being in a space that's enclosed, right? That you're living in. You can't walk into the living room to get away from it. It's there, right? So the casualties that I've been unfortunate enough to be a part of, I was always overwhelmed with enthusiasm to the reaction of the crew. You know what I mean? And how this dude that you just wanted to fight 20 minutes ago after dinner, you know what I mean? Like you guys hate each other and had sex with his mom, like whatever it is.
What? What?
I'm joking, right? Like, talking shit. But you know what I mean? Like you're talking all this shit and then all of a sudden some shit something real happens,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody's one team, and you get it done. And then when it's done, you go back to, all right,
Fuck you.
yeah, fuck you.
You fucking suck. You're so slow in
Right.
responding.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't even have that shit strapped up right. Like, fucking loser.
Oh,
You
man.
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
that's real. Like that all that drilling, we fucking hate it. We always hate it. We always will. But it serves a purpose, man, because when the shit goes down and you're on that 2 hours of sleep for the last 2 days, you're not thinking. You're just doing what you've been trained to do. And guess what? More often than not, it works.
Yeah. But I mean, like me and another buddy, we've had a conversation a lot about drilling and training and training and drilling just to fucking train and drill because we hate it. Right. And it's not that we don't want to be proficient. It's just like it goes back to there were sailors like, were they running drills last night?
Yeah.
Because you drill so much that they think everything's a drill.
Right. And they're like, I'm not getting out of the rack for this.
I'm not getting out of the rack for this drill. Right. But then there's one, at least duty section knew, as they fucking should.
Because they were sober.
They were sober, yes. Definitely. Right. And it's just, it just goes back to like, something I tell it, because I got to have fun. One of my rules that I always say when I'm there is like, hey, if we're not fucking having fun, then why the fuck are we here, guys?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I don't care how much you think this sucks. Start having fun.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lead the fun, right? I'm not just gonna be like preaching it. Like I'm gonna lead it. So let's fucking talk this shit up, okay? And let's go. But like, I tell them we would do section turnover or whatever, right? I'm like, yo, if it looks funky, smells funky, or sounds funky, report that shit. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Report it. Call it away. I don't fucking care. What's the worst that could happen? It's nothing. Guess what we still get to do? We still get to account for it as a drill.
Right.
And then we don't got to run that drill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, yo, there's ways to get out of it.
Yeah.
There's value, and don't forget, if you're finding value in this, go ahead and hit subscribe, the like button, and leave a comment. That's my plug. Thanks.
No, that's good.
What's up? What you said?
I was just gonna say I love it. I like there's nothing that makes a drill scenario suck more than a shitty locker leader or a shitty leader in that casualty environment when they're not motivated and they're not trying to bring enthusiasm to it, right? They're just going through the motions and checking the boxes as they go down, right? That was one of, yeah. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
No, but I mean, it's right though, right? Like the locker leader sets the tempo, right? Like and toot toot my own horn. Like I'm locker leader for one locker. We only got 2 lockers, and then fucking Boats is the other locker leader.
Yeah.
Guess who the 2 loudest motherfuckers on the ship is?
And that's who should be running that show. Right?
Yeah,
those 2 individuals that can bring some motivation to the people that are pissed off because they're getting out of the fucking rack and they're just like, fuck, and you're like, hey, get this shit on, fucking, you go here, your host team, whatever.
Yep.
Whatever the situation is. Even like on submarines, it's my opinion, and anybody that watches this can say otherwise, but atmosphere monitoring is one of the lamest fucking jobs to do for a damage control party. You got this bullshit equipment that you're squeezing plungers and trying to get chemicals out of the atmosphere to figure out if it's safe to breathe or not. Like, my whole thought process with that is, I don't want to fucking take my mask off if there's smoke in the room, right? If it's a smoke-free environment, maybe I want to go ahead and sniff some shit and see if there's other shit in there that's going to kill me.
Yeah.
But if there's smoke there, why am I doing this? And that was like my biggest frustration was like, why don't we ventilate for several hours to get the smell out of here before we start doing this? So I ended up getting moved to a host team, which was a lot more fun.
It was.
Yeah, because though you're getting all sweaty and gross for nothing, like, you're part of the action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're part of the team. You're part of putting out the casualty and saving lives.